Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmakingguru.com here, and welcome back to part 5 of our build of this, the teeny tiny Assault Kingdom Strike Gundam. So cute! As you can see, it's all finished, but don't worry, I've not skipped anything. I'm going to show you how this all came together, but here's a little sneak peek. Ooh, so adorable. And a nightmare to photograph. Gah. Pictures at the end of this video, they're not brilliant. So small, that's really hard to photograph. Anyway, welcome to part 5. In this part, we're going to show you how I did all this weathering stuff. So, without further ado, let me do a little bit of a jump cut, and then we shall go and see what happened after the last episode. Ooh, I don't know why I'm doing that. Okie dokie, let's crack on. Right, you can see I've disassembled everything. No disassemble. So we've got the shield, got the Aile strike pack, got the base, and the dude. Taking the head and hands off because I don't particularly want to weather those. They're fine as they are. What are we going to be doing? Well, it's time to do the weathering, proper weathering now. And we're not going to do a lot because this isn't a massive model. It's tiny. So what we're going to do is some very simple weathering effects just to give it some detail. It looks really good as it is. It looks a little bit weathered just with the pre-shading. But I want to add a bit more dirt and grime. Now, I can't go too far because, of course, keep things in scale. How big is a person compared to this suit? I can't really do paint chips because they'd be microscopic. So we're going to do some global weathering effects. First thing we're going to do is familiar to you if you've ever used the hairspray method, where you put hairspray on your piece or your model, put paint over the top, and then you remove the paint with a cocktail stick or a wet brush or something like that, and it just makes chipping effects. Now, of course, that's not really going to work in this case because, as I said, it's so small, chips are going to look rubbish. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using heavy chipping effects, AMIG 2011. Now, why are we using this and not hairspray? Dead simple. If I buy a tin of hairspray at my local Boots, you can't probably buy the same hairspray in your local store in your country. And even if there's like 6 different hairsprays on the shelf in your store, they're all different. They're not going to be the same. They're going to have different effects. You can't guarantee it's going to work the way you want it to. The heavy chipping effects basically means that wherever you are in the world, you can buy the same product and it's going to have the same effect as the other person. It's not going to be any variation, so you always know what effects you're going to get. You can plan properly. Now, the way it basically works is that this creates a layer on the model. This is water-based and non-toxic. Well, you wouldn't want to drink it, but it's non-toxic. Then we'll put over some Streaking Grime for DAC, AMIG 1201. This is enamel, that's water-based. Once this is dried for a few minutes, you take it off with a brush or water or a fine brush of some sort. If I remember how this works correctly, and I could be wrong here, so please correct me, this basically breaks down in the water and takes the paint with it. But where it doesn't break down, it leaves paint behind, so you'll end up with a sort of streaky chipped effect. That's how it works. And we're going to be applying this Streaking Grime for DAC as a thin misty layer, because it's just supposed to suggest a build-up of dirt. You're not going to have massive streaks, because again, the scale is going to be completely wrong. So we just want to add some shading, really, and we're going to put this over all the parts. And there's different effects you can get using different brushes. So, let's get on with this. What we're going to do first and foremost is put the heavy chipping on. Don't need to shake it. Get your airbrush ready. Going to put a little bit in here, like this, you see. Oh, far too much. Brilliant. That's half my bottle gone. Oh, well, never mind. I'm just going to move these other parts out of the way, because we don't want to get them covered just yet. Right, so we have our heavy chipping, and what we do need is the lid, because I will get this everywhere, guaranteed. Get the I'm not going to put the spray booth on because this is not particularly toxic. You should have really, but I needed to hear me, so quick jump cut there because I forgot to put tissue down. Let's start again. Right, so we've got our chipping, heavy chipping in the airbrush. Compressor on. Check we've got something coming through. Yep. Very first of all, lighting mist coat, just to get things covered, and we're just going to cover everything. Now the downside with this is you can't see it going on, so you have to kind of hope you've got it covered. It's clear, obviously. Obvs. Just get it on everything. Now when it goes on, it will look lumpy. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem at all. So we're just going to cover that. Right, now we're going to dry it with some air, just for a few seconds. Now the important thing with this stuff is do not dry it with a hairdryer. If you dry it with a hairdryer, you'll see as you put it on, as you dry it with the air, it will smooth and flatten out. You might not see this on camera. If you dry it with a hairbrush, it changes the chemical structure and it just won't work. And it may stay lumpy and bumpy, so you don't want that. So you want to get this on. Get some good air going over there. Now you can put on as little or as much as you want. The more you put on, the heavier the chipping effect will be. So if you do like 2 or 3 coats, you may get bigger, lumpier chips than if you do, say, 2 coats. So keep that in mind. So just give this some more air, get around the back. Excuse me, madam. Up skirt shot. Woo! Hello. Knew a girl like that once. Okay, so that's been blasted with air. We're going to give it another coat. See all the tissues whizzing everywhere. Let me put that there, and that there, and that there. Right, stay. Okay, give it another coat. Let's make sure it's coming through. Yep. And again, just think of this as the hairspray. It's just better than hairspray. Doesn't smell as nice as hairspray, it doesn't smell anything really. Okay, next up is the Streaking Grime for DAC. Now you need to make sure you shake this really well. By the way, you may have noticed, where's the little chip? Where's my little chip on my lens? It's gone, hasn't it? Oh yeah. Got myself a new camera. Well, new camera. It's a new iPhone. Well, I say new iPhone. It's an iPhone 5. Bought it off my good friend Busby. Thank you, Busby. So now I've got a decent camera again that hasn't got like 18 inches of clear coat and automotive paint on the lens and a big chip, which is really annoying. So I'm just giving the Streaking Grime for DAC a darn good shake. And we don't need a lot of this. We're going to need a tiny amount. So let's get this here. Let's get this here. I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use the stick, if I can reach one, to pour this in. Handy hint, if you're pouring something into an airbrush and you don't want a lot, and you don't want it to go everywhere, and you're pouring it from a bottle that hasn't got a drop of top, then just use a stick. Now this is enamel based. I'm just going to pour in a small amount. It's probably more than we'll need. Can't actually see how much I've got in there. Okay. I clean the airbrush out from the chipping just with water, because it's water based. It dissolves in water, so I clean the airbrush out really quick with just normal tap water, and it's perfect. This stuff you'll need to use obviously thinners for your enamels. Right, so we're going to do some light coats of this. Let me get the compressor on. You can see the kind of colour it's going to make. So all we're going to do is we're going to lightly go over this with a shaky hand and see what comes out. So let's get on with it. Just go lightly, not going heavily. Not thinned it at all, you can use it as is. It's a thinned paint anyway, the Streaking Grimes. Get some more in the upskirt area, a bit heavier than that. You can go as heavy as you like or as light as you want. But we're going to do it in a subtle way. Just really a slight tint more than anything else. And this is a kind of colour that's great for outdoor, outside of a vehicle's weathering, just sort of little streaky bits. You can use it to make streaks, or you can use it for this to add tints. I'm going to put a bit more in the back of the knees. See if we can cover up those bits where the paint's chipped. Back of the arms. And we're going to concentrate a bit more. Sorry, I'll say that again in English. Going to concentrate a bit more on the feet and the bottoms of the legs. You can see he's got this kind of greeny tinge to him now. So we're going to fix this really easily. We're going to take our brush. We're going to take a small amount of bog standard tap water. Nothing special about it. Get our brush, get some water on it. Get some of it off. We don't want it soaking wet. And all we're going to do is we're going to go from top to bottom. I hope this is in focus. And we're just going to run the brush down from top to bottom. And what I hope you can see, I hope it comes out on camera, is it will start to take the enamel paint away. If you can see there, some wonderful little streaks. Now the first few times I did this, it was ass. It sucked. I was terrible at it. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and it just looked like complete ass. But it just takes a bit of practice. You need the right kind of brush. For streaks like this, you want a flat brush. If you use a round brush, you can make more like little patches, which are better for horizontal surfaces. But for streaks like this, you want a little flat brush. Now the longer you leave it, the harder it will be to get the stuff off. So it depends on the effects you want. And I like to think that whatever comes out in the other end is good, because it's all random. Weathering is random. This is random. There's a hair on his foot. I can see it. It's annoying me, but I'm going to leave it for the moment. Let's go around this side. And you can see I've not gone in here much because I want that to look dark. So there we go, that's done. I shall now go away and leave that to dry for 24 hours and then figure out what the heck to do for the next stage, because I'm not sure yet. I've got to do the other bits as well. I've got to do the base and the jetpack, and the Aile pack and the shield. So I'll go away and do those as well. And when we come back, I'll hopefully figure out what the hell I'm doing for the next stage. So, back in a moment. Okay, and on to the next bit. While that Streaking Grime and that is drying, time to do something with the weapon. As you can see, I did do it in the old gunmetal, which came out nice and silver. Unlike the hands, which came out really particly and speckly, this came out quite nice. I've touched up some bits with gold, put some semi-gloss black on the grips. What we're going to do with this? Well, I wasn't really sure, so I'm just going to make some stuff up as I go along. I'm going to get some engine grime, AMIG 1407. I'm going to give it a darn good shake, very carefully, because these lids can leak. When you first see it, you'll be like, oh my god, you've ruined it. I'm going to take some of the engine grime, and then we will get the brush, and we're going to simply paint over this puppy. And you're thinking, what are you doing? Don't worry. It will all come good. I've not put any of the chipping fluid on here, just the engine grime. It's a nice mushroomy brown colour. This is straight onto the gloss varnish. So I'm going to leave that for a few seconds. I'm going to leave it for maybe 5 minutes. Just to give it a second, a 5-minute little gap so it can dry and settle down a little bit. I'm having trouble speaking today. I'm doing a Tony Fairclough. Okay, the gun's had about 5 minutes to do its thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to try first of all, just try with a raw cotton bud and see what happens. Let's do some experimentations. I'm just going to gently, very gently, rub this paint off. And what I hope happens, because it's only had about 5 minutes, is that it does like a gunk wash, but it shows the shiny stuff underneath and just darkens the tone and makes it look more gunny, more gun-like. Now you could do this with any colour, obviously. I just happen to have that one there, the engine grime, so I thought I'd use that. Oh, enjoy! Somebody outside is drilling. Fantastic. So we get a lovely cutting. Somebody outside is cutting with some kind of cutting device. Do you know, the moment the rain stops, the DIYers come out. It's not DIYers, it's barbecues. Okay, let's try another little bit of cotton bud. coming out quite well actually, I'm quite pleased with that. So that is now a little bit dark. It doesn't really come out on camera because the way it's lit it just looks like it's shiny metal still, but it's not. I'll try and take a photograph. It's grimier and dirtier looking, a bit more weighty. Now you could have used dark colour. I could have used one of the darker panel line washes, like blue black, but that's fine for me. I like that. It's more of a grimy, dirty look than a dark metal look. So it looks like it's still a silver gun of some sort, but it's just got that little bit of grime and dark in there. So let me get a very fine brush and we'll just clean off the scope. Okay, last few steps now. Thrusters on the back. I'm going to paint these gunmetal. We're going to use Tamiya X10 gunmetal. Going to give it a good shake. Now I know I'm going to be matte varnishing it, but then once the matte varnish is on, we can go over with some chrome silver dry brushing to bring back the bling. So I'm going to use some neat gunmetal. I love the smell of this stuff. Giving it a darn good shake. I'll give it a good stir as well actually. The thing with any metallics is the metallic part does settle out quite quickly on any paint. So you have to make sure it's well stirred for maximum awesomeness. So let's give this a go, shall we? Now I'm all over the place so you can see this. So this may come out rough and ready. Let's give it a go. Apologies if my hands are all in the way. You know what I'm like trying to film me brushing things. It requires all kinds of shenanigans. It's a bit... let's turn this light on, shall we? That's a bit better. Not for you, but better for me. And this is the same method I used when I was painting all the little trim parts. I'm taking the paint from the lid, because that might be a bit more shiny. I'm going as light as I can, just to make sure I don't get any or too many brush marks. Completely. Okay, so that's the gunmetal bit there done. I'll probably go over it again in a few moments. Now it doesn't look like much now because it's not that different from the grey behind it, but I don't want to go over it again straight away because I'll just rook up the paint with brush marks. So I'll give it a few minutes to dry. Like I say, that will go matted when it's painted, and then once that is done I can go over it with some chrome silver just to bring back the shine a little bit once the matte coat is on. So let me just clean my brush off and I'll try and figure out what to do in these little vernier areas here. I want to make it dark like that. So let me go and sort my brush out and I'll see what I'm going to do on there. Right, what we're going to do on these little vernier areas is use the panel line wash, which is MIG 1611 enamel panel line wash, and it is Black Knight. Now I've done a couple of bits of these already on here, but I'm going to do some more. Just try and bring out the darkness even more. So let's get some of this going. Well, the paint away might be a good idea. So, get the brush online. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the paint, but I'm going to get most of it off on the side because I want thick. I don't want a wash, I want thickness. So if I do a wash, it will disappear down the seam line in the middle and then we'll never see it. So let's see if we can get this done. This may not work, or it may work. It may just be too thin. I'm just touching it into the hole. See if I can get it to go in. Let's try actually some of the wash itself rather than taking most of it off the brush. So we're gonna let me sort my brush out. Brush has gone all splayed, and then we're just gonna most of it off and just touch it in. It's in there. Can't see because of the light. And what I'm hoping is it will collect in the little recess but not go up the edge. So I'll still have the little sharp edge around the sides. Now it is kind of disappearing into the crack. God knows where that's going. So that's in there. That will go a bit more dusty and dark and light as it dries off. And then once that's dry enough, I can go over those little edges with a cotton bud, or Q-tip as we call it if you're in America. Hello to my colonial cousins. So I'm going to give that 5 or 10 minutes just to dry off. A bit like we did with the gun. Just going to let it dry for a little bit and then rub that off the edges so you get some nice crisp edges. So let's go and let that dry for a bit. Back in ein Moment. Okay, next step, while those are drying, we're going to put some loveliness on the base. You can see here I did the Streaking Grime, and it's got this kind of old temple kind of look, which is weird because it's not supposed to be like an old temple, it's supposed to be like mechanical. But hey, I like the effect. So what we're going to do now is just kind of blend that all together a bit. And we're going to use Brown for White AMIG 1500, it's a filter. And all a filter does, it's a very light tint, and it just hopefully binds everything together a bit like the Force. And all we're going to do is take some filter on the brush, get most of it off on the brush, and then all we're going to do is brush it over. And it's not a wash, you're not doing it like a wash. Do it on camera, dear. You're not washing it. You're quite simply adding a tint, which is why you're not putting it on in a big thick swash of liquid goopiness. It's just going to change the tone so those light greys aren't quite so light or grey. Now I'm doing this about 2 hours after putting the Streaking Grime on, and as you can see it's dislodging the Streaking Grime and it's allowing me to do even more streaks while I'm doing this. Ideally I should have let this stuff underneath dry for 24 hours, but you know what I'm like, I'm impatient. So I thought I'd do this, give it a try. Move it downwards because I streak downwards. And it gives it a very interesting effect. Actually takes the Streaking Grime off completely. So I thought I'd give this a try and see what happens. So if I'd left the Streaking Grime for 24 hours, the Streaking Grime coat just wouldn't have changed at all. It'd be permanently fixed. Because I'm going in with this only about an hour and a half, an hour later, it's adding more streaks because it's dislodging the Streaking Grime. And it's just adding to that overall effect, which is quite pleasant. So I'll just go around the edges. I've got to find somewhere to hold it. I've got to find somewhere to pick it up now. So let me get my little grabby stick. Again, you're not slapping this on like a wash, although it is going on a bit thick. If the Streaking Grime was fully set and dried, all this would do would be to add a very slight browny tint. Very, very slight. But I'm using it to move the Streaking Grime around as well. I'm not doing this on the Gundam because that would just ruin the effects I've put on the Gundam. But for this, it makes this nice, streaky, filthy, dirty little effect, as you can see there. And that will probably do it for the base because I'm not really fussed about the base. It's quite a nice streaky effect. I might go over it with the dry brush. I've got to do a little bit of dry brushing on the Gundam as well, just to bring back the whites. So let's go and leave that for a while, and when we come back I'm not sure what we'll have done. So again, back in a moment. Okay, right, everything's a little while to dry. Next step is the last little bit of dry brushing. We're going to be using some white artist oil paints. This is just called mixing white, but any white will do. Take a very small chisel edge brush, get on there some paint, as with any dry brushing. Get it off on your tissue so there's not much left. And then just very carefully go over your white bits. Do it on the top edges where there'll be less staining. Remember, streaks and things go down, so they gather at the bottom of things. And the trick here is just to pick out edges, and if you can, if you're lucky, it'll also blend in some of that grime and dirt layer a little bit. Just smooth it out off, make it look a little less patchy, and just blend it all together, whilst at the same time making your whites a bit brighter. So I'll just go over those carefully so I don't go over these black bits that I painted. And this is all I'm doing here basically. See there, it's a bit mucky in there. Just work the white a little bit just to blend it and bring it back. And I prefer to do this with oil paints because oil paints are obviously more malleable. They take longer to dry, so you can work those little areas for a bit longer. Get some white back here. It's good for fading things. If you want to fade a patchy dark area, you can just fade the white in. Do it as dry brushing because then you can control the fade more. And it'll also give some edges to the grey areas. Give them a bit of definition. Okay, that's that done. Put a little bit on the feet, why not? Just to give some... You can use the white anywhere, to be honest. It's such a subtle colour, if you do it right, that you can bring back some edge definition on other non-white colours. But go easy. It's easy to overdo it and just make your colours look bleached. Okay, so that's that one. Not too much to do on the arms and torso. Okay, so just do this over here. Try and catch the edge. There's not a lot of weathering up here as much as down on the legs. There's not as much of this needed. But it just gives back a little definition. Just helps things fall off. Hello. Blend together. Again, as always, with this particular build, it's so small. I'm not taking my time. I'm not being super careful like I normally would because there's only so much I can do on something this size. I can rub that with my finger just to soften it a bit. Bit of dust in there. Brilliant. I can use it on the blue just to give some edge definition. See if we can do a bit of fading on the cockpit area. Okay, and if I grab myself a cotton bud, I can gently fade the fade. Just take it off those raised edges. If you get any blobs of it that you don't want, just rub them off with your finger or a cotton bud. Cotton bud's better, obviously, or something not with a fingerprint on it, if you can avoid it. And that's as compact as I want that to be. Should we do any on the Aile pack? Let's see what happens. If we do some on the Aile pack, this is going to be super subtle now. Oh, the hair, brilliant, thank you. Sigh. So if I just try a little bit here. Remember how we had the fade to dark at the darker here, so what I'll do is I'll try and see if I can do some on the wing tips. Just really carefully. Just to blend it and fade it a little bit. I've not reloaded the brush yet because I really want to use minimal paint on here. This is just kind of pinking up the red a little bit more than anything else. Now it is collecting on the edge of the wing, but I can sort that in a moment with the cotton buddings. And it will also fade your dark colours. And I'm going in the direction of travel so it matches the streaks. And I can build it up in places where I want it to. Do you know, I'm so shaky today. My grip is all over the place. There we go. Bit there. Just to give it a slightly faded look. I'm going to say I'm going in the direction of travel just because that makes sense if these things are wings, which they obviously are. Then streaking would tend to be in the direction of travel. Now I've got to repaint these little bits here because they're supposed to be gold, but I'll wait till the matte varnish has gone on because I want them to be gold and shine. Okay, so we've got a little bit of schmutz there, just rub that off. Got a lot, oh, hello. Dip it in the paint, why don't you? Spoon. I can just work it a little bit with the cotton bud. Make sure there's no obvious marks. And again, always try and go in the direction of travel just to maintain that streak effect. What I'm trying to do really is not make actual streaks, but just give the impression of colour variation in the direction of travel in streaking patterns. Though it has to be said that Streaking Grime would be great if you wanted to suggest like windows with rain streaking on them. Right, so that's going to do that. What else is there? I'm not going to do anything on the base because the base is frankly boring me now. Not interested in the base really. So that's going to do it. What I will go and do now is as soon as that is dried, I'm going to leave that to dry for a little while. Then I need to go off and do the matte coat. Get the matte coat on. Once the matte coat is on, I can come back in and do the little gold bits here. Dry brush some chrome silver over the thrusters at the back and these two little dots. I'll just do them chrome silver so they stay shiny. And I think we're done. I think. Oh, a bit of earth as well. So I need to, actually I'll do that first. I'll let this dry for a little bit. Then we'll put some of this on. And this is just a powder. That'll just give some earthy dirt effect. I hope. Not out of scale. And then the matte varnish. Then we'll do the last little touches. And then we're done. Yes. Right, so let me go and let these dry for a while and we'll do the earthy stuff. Back in a bit. Okay, right, last stage of the weathering. We're going to be using some Dark Earth AMIG 3007 Smashing. And this is basically a powder, that's why I'm wearing gloves, and have a piece of tissue down. It's a nice earthy powder. And all we're going to do is take some powder on the brush. Now this will mess up your brush, so don't use your best brush. And we're quite simply going to run it all over. We're just going to apply it on the feet really and the bottoms of the legs, where dust and mud and dirt would gather. We're not going to do it up the side of the Gundam because obviously this thing's 18 meters tall or more, so it wouldn't make any sense to have dirt and dust that high up. So we'll get some inside here, get a load inside the spats, if you want to call them that. Are they spats? I don't know. Ankle guards. Get some on the outside of the ankle guards. Now you can just brush it on loosely and it will fall off, or you can push down and it will sort of stick to the surface a bit more and just be a little bit sticky and give some shading. But we're just going to slap it on because you know that's what I do. Back of the feet. You can be quite generous. Don't be shy with it. Similar to like Tamiya Pigments, but they're a bit more stickier and oilier. And once the matte varnish goes on, you can get pigment fixers that fix these pigments in place. But I don't want to get the airbrush out again for that. So I'm just going to slap this stuff on and seal it with the matte varnish, which will do absolutely fine for me, thank you very much. But as with any pigments, obviously that will diminish when you put a varnish or a sealant of any kind on it, because it will just dissolve them ever so slightly. So make sure you put on more than you need. You can see I'm being quite generous in the ankle areas here, just to get it to build up. Do a little bit of brushing upwards. And this is really, it would be out of scale. If you think about it logically, it would be out of scale really, but you see it's still quite loose. But that is sort of the effect I'm after. Brush a little of the loose stuff off so you've got some white showing. Take yourself a cotton bud if you want to get some off, and just rub over it, and it will rub it away. So if I want to say work, God, this is all in shadow, isn't it? I've just realised that looking at my screen, it's all in shadow. It's because I'm wearing the gloves. See if I can change that. Nope, it's the blue tissue throwing everything off. Oh well, sorry dudes. So we'll just rub away with some of it with the cotton bud, just to fade it again. It's always about fading. Fade it around the edges. And that is now as much as I want to add on there. So, this is ready to go off for the matte varnish coat. So I will go and do that. And when we come back, I'll add the last tiniest little touches, and then we're done. Back in a moment. Okay, final bit. Tamiya X11 Chrome Silver. Everything's now been matte varnished. A lot less shiny. You can see how the pigment blended and faded away, but it still looks dirty and earthy. Obviously, if I put loads and loads of pigment on, I could make, if this was a big model, you can use the pigments to make nice, lumpy looking earth textures. But in this case, it's so small, I've just gone for staining. And it looks quite cool. It's just there around the bottom of the feet. I mean, you can use that stuff like almost like it's soil. So if you had a really small scale model, so it's a massive model, you could put it in and build it up into piles. And instead of using matte varnish, which will reduce it down, you could use a pigment fixer, which will just bind it all in place and hold it in place. Then, if it's something you're never going to handle, it should be fine. And you can use that to make this kind of staining, or you can use it to make lumps and clumps of earth. So pretty cool. So what's left now is just to put some bling on some of the parts. I'm going to use the chrome silver. You've seen this a million times before. I'm going to stir the chrome silver first. I need to get some more chrome silver. This is running out. I've not got much left actually. What will I do if I run out of chrome silver? I do not know. So you've seen it before. Chrome silver. This is a small brush. Load it with paint. Get it off on the tissue, exactly the same as oil paint. Don't know why I did that. So you can see here the gunmetal is still a bit more shiny than the rest of the model, but not much. So we shall fix that right now by me putting on my viewing visor and getting down and dirty with it. I'm using a small brush because obviously this is a small space, and I don't want to get this on the surrounding. Oh, I've got it on my hand already. Don't want to get this on the surrounding areas. And this will just really bring that shine back. Now, because it's so small, it's not my usual chrome silver dry brushing effort. And the gunmetal didn't come out that dark, so oh well. There we go, that is all I need to do on there. Just makes it nicely darkened. Now I could go back and put something in the thruster centres just to darken it, and I might do, but I don't know yet. Bit of dry brushing on here. For the hands, I'm actually going to use my traditional chrome silver dry brushing brush, which I know and love. You will kind of get to know your brushes, and there'll be certain brushes you use for certain things, and you get so used to using them that you know exactly how they need to be used. So you can see here we've got the manipulators. They are the gunmetal, slightly bitty, with a dark wash, panel line wash. I think it was the blue black. I'm going to just go over it, get the edges, and make them look a bit more alive. And we are done. Look at that. Look at that. So adorable. We are finished. Absolutely finished completely. What did I do off camera? I added some old brass to the bits on the Aile pack where the gold colour was, if you can see it there, just to bring the gold back. I added to me a clear green to the rear and front cameras on the head. I went over the eyes with a little bit of gold, and I went over the head, which was looking a bit too white. I went over that with some of the ammo filter, the brown for white. Some very strange noises going on outside. There's massive explosions, and there's the world's slowest fire alarm. That's really weird. It's really distracting me. And there's like 3 different alarms going off. That's weird. Anyway, so yeah, all done. Really pleased. As I said from the start, it's a silly fun build. It's nothing super hardcore. It was just supposed to be a 3-day build, and that turned into about 4 weeks because of work and other commitments. Yeah, nothing ever goes quickly when I plan it. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it. If you're wanting to get some practice in brushwork and just have a bit of a silly time, then see if you can get yourself one of these. If you're in Japan, they're probably really common. If you're in the US, I think you can get them from many stores. Outside those 2 countries, it's the internet. That's your only option, basically. Now, I paid, what, 30 quid for this? Yeah, they're worth about $5, like I said before. So they're just little... It's the thing that comes with a bubble gum, basically. But this one does seem to be quite rare. I had a right hard time finding one of these. I wanted the Strike. There's loads of others. There's like the Unicorn. There's the Unicorn in Destroy mode. I think there's a Sinanju. There's the one with the thing and the you know, the legs with the V fin, and there's that one. But there's loads of them anyway, and I think they're really cheap. So if you can find some, grab some. They're really good. I'm not going to say fun again. I've said fun so many times. They're just silly. No commitments, no seriousness. So yeah, really pleased with that. I've got some photographs coming up. They're really crap because this thing's so small. It's really hard to photograph. So I couldn't get any interesting poses, and it's also 1,000,000 degrees in here, so I was kind of sweating cobs, and the whole thing, I just got bored taking pictures. So there's a few photographs, but they're not the best in the world. But anyway, enough waffle. Thank you so much for watching this little mini series. I've had a great time. I hope you have. I haven't really taught you much, but, you know, hey, sometimes it's just about being an idiot. As always, stay tuned for more. The Perfect Grade Zaku, the work on that is continuing. It's still in the denubbing stage. Denubbing. Part 1 has gone up, if you've not seen already. Part 1 on my channel is up and live. I'm allowed to post them up on my channel before they go up on Mig's channel, which is brilliant, because I was starting to wonder what I'm going to post up while I'm doing the Zaku if I can't post them up straight away. So, might be a while between episodes, like I said, but stay tuned. They will come along. Join me on Facebook and Twitter, as always. The usual Facebook and Twitter addresses. I am Model Making Guru on both of those. And send me pictures of your builds for the Facebook page. Either send me a message with them in, which is the best thing to do, or post them up. But if you post them up on the Facebook page, they'll go onto the visitors page, and then nobody ever reads that. So send me a message instead. Send me some pictures, and I'll stick them up on the front page for you. But yeah, let me know what your builds are doing. I want to see what you guys are making. Some of you have sent me some fantastic things over the last few months. And there's some guys out there, I hate you because you're better than me, and that's not how it's supposed to work. I'm not like that, really. So yeah, go along and hang out on the Facebook page. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, which will be the Zaku Part 2 at some point when I've got round to taking all the nubs off. Other than that, I'm not sure what the next project will be from after this while the Zaku's going on. I don't know if I will have one because there won't be enough space. So it might be gaps between videos now. So stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I may not post them up as often as I do, but I will post them up, that is, obviously. Anyway, enough waffle. Go and do interesting things. Take care of yourselves. Have a good time. Make something interesting. Paint something interesting. And above all else, adios amoebas.